We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories making headlines this evening. Police are investigating 2 counts of murder and 3 of attempted murder following a deadly shooting outside the Boyson's Magistrates Court in Johannesburg.
In general, we also discontinued some buses that were not in good order.
Gauteng Premier says the provincial government will continue with an intensive evaluation of the scholar transport sector following an increased public scrutiny after a catastrophic accident in Van der Bijl Park which left a 12 learners dead.
Crime intelligence and the control of that fund makes crime intelligent people invincible.
Former IPID head Robert McBride says the funds allocated to the SAP's Crime Intelligence Unit are riddled with impropriety and corruption and make people with access to it think they're invincible. At the back of those headlines, it has just gone 8 o'clock. Good evening and a warm welcome to Prime News on 3. I am Paulette. Now, an absolute pleasure it is to be in your company this evening, as we bring you the latest news happening in and around your world. Without wasting further time, let's get straight into it. We begin with this tonight. The police are investigating 2 cases of murder and 3 of attempted murder following a deadly shooting outside the Boyson's Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. 2 people were killed and 3 others injured when gunmen opened fire on a group attending court proceedings in support of an accused. Gauteng authorities say resources have since been mobilized.
What was supposed to be a normal working day at the Boyson's Magistrate Court on Tuesday morning descended into chaos. Authorities say the group who just attended a court case was leaving court when 3 suspects shot people outside the court building and injuring 3 others, including the accused lawyer. Police say the suspects fled the scene in a getaway vehicle.
After they got out of the premises, they were picked up by a white Audi, which is a clone. As when the police were doing preliminary investigations, they determined that that vehicle is a clone. So for now, we have our crime scene management from forensic services. We also have the serious and violence crime unit from provincial office that is going to be investigating a case of 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder.
The incident again raised concern about safety and security at courts following several incidents where witnesses and in some cases accused persons were killed after testifying in court. Nel has emphasized the importance of enhancing security at courts around the country.
The fact that this incident took place outside and in close proximity to the operations of the court would need us to reassess and strengthen visible policing and other security measures outside of the court.
Family members of the victims were too distraught to speak to the media and asked for privacy. Police say investigations are ongoing and no arrests have been made at this stage. Calvin Lula, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Let's shift our focus to the Western Cape province where police say they are following up on all leads in connection with 3 separate shooting incidents in Cape Town that claimed 7 lives overnight. One of the victims was an off-duty police officer who was shot and killed in Brown's Farm near Philippi. 4 people were gunned down at an informal dwelling in Ndabeni while 2 others were shot and killed near the Kensington Cemetery.
Police say detectives are working tirelessly to identify and apprehend those responsible for the murders. They say the perpetrators will be pursued with the full might of the law until they are brought to book. 4 people were gunned down at an informal dwelling in the Ndabeni industrial area. Another 2 people were found murdered near the Kensington Cemetery. No arrests have been made yet in connection with the murders, and the motives for the shootings are still being investigated.
The first one occurred at 0250 in Melk Street in Maitland, where 3 females aged between 20 and 52 and an adult male were shot and killed in their shack. The suspects fled the scene and they are yet to be arrested. Detectives from the Serious and Violent Crimes Unit are pursuing all avenues in a bid to bring those responsible to book. The second incident occurred at 02:55 in the Maitland Cemetery in Kensington. 2 adult males, aged 35 and 36, were shot and killed, and 2 others, aged 31 and 32, were admitted to hospital with gunshot wounds.
Police have also launched a probe into the murder of the off-duty police officer which occurred in Brown's Farm. The 48-year-old officer sustained fatal gunshot wounds to the upper body and died at the scene. 8 people also died following a mass shooting in Philippi East over the weekend. Police say they have taken several people in for questioning in connection with the incident, and investigations are continuing. Corbin August, SABC News, Cape Town.
Let's look into this now. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says the provincial government will continue with an intensive evaluation of the scholar transport sector. This follows increased public scrutiny after a catastrophic accident in Van der Bijl Park on Monday, which left 12 learners dead. Lesufi says the provincial government has issued 335 written notices to transport operators in Tshwane whose vehicles failed to meet safety standards. Basic Education Minister Siviwe was also expressed concern.
In Johannesburg, we issued 442 notices of people that didn't comply to take our children to school through the public scholar transport. And the notices were valued at 696,000. We have what we call e-enforcement infringements. That is the infringement that utilize electronic training. Either you're going through e-toll bridges or you're going through CCTV cameras. In Tshwane, the infringement were issued 263 buses or transport. In general, we also discontinued some buses that were not in good order.
I want to also indicate this, that it's very important that we note that while we want to review a lot of some of the policy regulations around scholar transport, over 80% of the incidents that happen on our road are due to driver error. It is because of motorists and drivers who are not behaving well on the roads, who are not adhering to the rules of the road. And we find ourselves often in these situations because people who are ferrying our learners are not taking the necessary precautions to be able to do that.
Meanwhile, the Gauteng police have arrested the 22-year-old scholar transport driver immediately after he was discharged from Sebokeng Hospital earlier today.
Expected to appear before Van der Bijl Park Magistrates Court within 48 hours, facing charges of 12 counts of culpable homicide and reckless and negligent driving. After the police visited the hospitals and the mortuary to verify the number of fatalities and injuries, it can be confirmed that 12 learners died at the accident scene and 5 were taken to the nearest hospitals for medical treatment, of which 1 has since been discharged.
After the break, former IPID head Robert McBride says the funds allocated to the South African Police Service Crime Intelligence Unit are riddled with impropriety and corruption and make people with access to it think they are invincible. This and more after the break. Welcome back. Former Independent Police Investigative Directorate head Robert McBride says the funds allocated to the South African Police Service Crime Intelligence Unit are riddled with impropriety and corruption and make people with access to it think they are invincible. Appearing before the ad hoc looking into concerns around national security today, McBride shared his version of events outlining allegations of political plots and plans to settle scores.
who works within the state security sector laid bare allegations of factionalism among what he described as his ANC comrades. He was appointed as IPID Executive Director in 2013, and in 2014 he was drawn into what he called a storm, referring to the 2010 Zimbabwean rendition debacle. Former Hawks boss Anwar Dramat and suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia were both implicated. But McBride says all the allegations against them were fabricated, and as the head of IPID, he found no prima facie evidence of wrongdoing by them.
At some stage, General Sibia, and here's where the problem starts, arrested General Richard Mdluli.
At the time, Richard Mdluli, who is currently behind bars after being found guilty of intimidation, kidnapping and assault, was the head of crime intelligence, a unit tainted with allegations of misusing funds.
Crime intelligence and the control of that fund makes crime intelligence people invincible.
McBride says because he submitted a report negating the rendition allegations against Ramat and Sibia, he too then became a target and was suspended by former Police Minister Nathi Nhleko in 2015.
At the end of my tenure, there was between 8 and 13 generals and about 10 brigadiers of senior police officers who were on trial for corruption. Never been done before. Should have been a national emergency. And no new cases since I left IPID have been taken up again, which involves systemic corruption and corruption.
Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.
Some schools have reopened in the flood-stricken districts of Mopani and Vembe in the Limpopo province following heavy rains and flooding over the past 2 weeks. The opening of schools for the new academic year was suspended in both districts. Some schools are still experiencing various challenges that affect academic activities.
Schools in Bolobedu in the Mopani district have commenced with classes after a week-long delay. However, the Limpopo Department of Education says over 400 schools in the affected districts have not yet opened due to inaccessible roads and other floods-related challenges. Learners at Sekhwari High School in Ramuchachi in the Mopani district say they are excited to return to school and are looking forward to a successful academic year.
I'm feeling happy that we're back on school because of last week our school was suspended. Most of the school were closed because of these floods that are all over this area.
In the past weeks, we were not able to walk and come to school, and it was raining. And it was very risky. So now, as we have opened, the roads are clear, and we are able to travel and come to school.
The road leading to the school is muddy and damaged by the rain. Some community members are trying to fix it, but not all learners and teachers have been able to make it to school.
We are not really happy, even though schools have commenced today, because as you can see, the rain is continuing, and therefore flooding is also continuing.
Despite a week-long delay in the 2026 academic year, in some schools in Limpopo, learners at Sekhwari High School in Bolobedu are still optimistic about their future. SABC News, Ramuchachi.
And mop-up operations have started in some areas in the Nkomazi local municipality in Mpumalanga. Recent heavy rains have left a trail of destruction, including flooded yards and damaged roads. Some residents have criticized the government for not taking their concerns seriously.
50-year-old Timothy Koza has lived here for 15 years. He says his muddy yard looks like this every time it rains. But this time around, the flooding in the yard was worse. Koza complains that his plea for assistance always falls on deaf ears.
Every
time it rains, my yard looks like this. It gets filled with water. I've been reporting to the councillor, but nothing gets done about this issue. So I don't know what can be done to resolve this problem. These residents say the rainwater damages their properties because of the badly built road. We struggle too much when it rains. This tar road was badly constructed. In some parts it has holes, and when it rains it turns into a dam where the water stops and fills up. The water then spills into our yards and sometimes inside the house. We ask that they please fix this tar road for us. The Nkomazi local municipality says it is still assessing the damage caused by the heavy rains.
Our team, the disaster management team, is on the ground trying to assess the extent of the damage since the rain has subsided. But beyond that, we have rolled up our sleeves as a municipality to come up with a plan to ensure that we render urgent services. Our priority is to ensure that public entities like your schools and clinics are accessible.
Humanitarian aid organization Gift of the Givers is expected to assist the affected families in the various villages this week. Nhlanhla Jele, SABC News, Nkomazi, Mpumalanga.
When we return, former chairperson of the Confederation of African Football's Disciplinary Committee, Raymond Hack, has called for the harshest form of punishment for Africa Cup of Nations champions Senegal and tournament hosts and runners-up Morocco. These and more when we come back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's continue with this. Severe flooding has forced out thousands of people from their homes in Mozambique, with some residents rescued from rooftops as rising water submerged entire settlements. Rescue efforts are ongoing as heavy rains continue.
Floods triggered by days of heavy rainfall have displaced thousands of people across parts of Mozambique. Entire communities have been submerged, forcing families to flee as rising waters sweep through homes and vital infrastructure. Aerial footage from the Baone district shows vast stretches of land underwater with only treetops visible. Some residents were left stranded on rooftops waiting for help as access roads disappeared beneath floodwaters.
The most important thing is that I'm alive. Whoever can help will help. God knows why this happened.
Rescue teams and volunteers have been working around the clock, using speedboats and small fishing vessels to reach trapped survivors and transport them to safer ground. He says, "We have rescued many people from risk zones and brought them here. We register them, give food, and if they don't have family nearby, we take them to resettlement camps." Mozambique's President Daniel Chapo has cancelled his trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos, saying saving lives is now the country's top priority. Aid agencies warn that continued rainfall and full dams could worsen the situation in the coming days. I'm Butlali Pele, SABC News.
Well, with that, we now hand over the reins to the weather desk for an update in temperature changes. It's over to the weather desk for the latest.
A very good evening to you. Let's take a look at all your weather details. Clear skies overnight in the Northern Cape, but southwards in towards the Western Cape, we've got some cloudy conditions. That's along the southern coastline. Southeasterly winds up to 45 kilometers an hour around the peninsula, while scattered showers are in the forecast for the Free State and across the provincial border in towards the Northwest Province and Gauteng. We've got scattered showers possible as well through the northern areas of the country, otherwise isolated showers through the eastern parts, including that eastern escarpment. Now on towards tomorrow, fog patches on the eastern escarpment. Please be taking extra care if you are driving. We've got isolated showers in the forecast for the eastern parts and northern parts of South Africa, whilst scattered showers prevail in the forecast. That's for the Free State in towards parts of the Northern Cape, where isolated showers are possible through the northeastern parts tomorrow. A sunny day in the Western Cape on Wednesday, with wind speeds increasing up to about 50 kilometers an hour. So be on the lookout for those. And in the alerts for this evening, windy conditions, as we mentioned, around the Cape Peninsula, as well as the potential for severe thunderstorms and disruptive rainfall through the shade of yellow on the map. Ahead towards tomorrow, and we've got again the potential of severe thunderstorms through the shade of yellow. That's in the central parts of South Africa. Hot and windy conditions in the Northern Cape could lead to fault fires, whilst in the Western Cape, be on the lookout for those windy conditions. Cape Town 18 overnight, Gqeberha dropping to 16, Durban down to 19, Johannesburg 14 this evening, whilst Bloemfontein drops to 15 and warms up to maximum of 30 degrees on Wednesday afternoon. 37 is expected in Uppington, whilst Vredendal will be a scorching 40 degrees tomorrow. Hot conditions in the northern parts of the Western Cape. Cape Town up to 31 tomorrow afternoon, windy conditions prevailing. Gqeberha up to 28. East London in the mid-20s tomorrow. The interior of the Eastern Cape also hot, with Graaff-Reinet up to 37 and Kuba up to about 38 degrees on Wednesday afternoon. Johannesburg fairly cool for this time of the year on Wednesday, up to a maximum of 23, whilst Polokwane warms up to 22. That's it from me. Have a great evening.
And that's where we park it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, it's good night. God bless. Pula.